What is going on, everybody? This is Drew here. I want to welcome you all to a brand new episode of Phoenix Down. This is Phoenix Down 129.0, and we are continuing and finishing our playthrough of Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. Today I have with me Matt.
Hello, it is good to be back.
Yes, it is good to be back. It's been the last recording we did was in May, and it is currently November. So it's been a while since I could hold my head up high. Everybody knows what happened in March of this year. I had a child. We were in the midst of Greedfall at the time, and I powered through and finished Greedfall while also watching my baby late nights while she was awake every hour on the hour, and now she sleeps soundly almost throughout the entire night. So I started picking video games back up, slowly but surely, and here we are. I was able to finally finish Like a Dragon Gaiden, and now we can sit down and talk about it. And this is going to be like just one big episode of us talking about the game, which was kind of like the plan originally, especially now that I had, father responsibilities, was that we were going to move Phoenix Down to like a once a month kind of thing, or we just sit down and talk about it, an entire game, instead of going, week to week, talking like what we played through.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was so out of it mentally. One of the times you texted me about getting close to the end of the game, I had to be like, wait, is he a whole game ahead of me? I wasn't sure if you had finished this game and then gone on to the next Yakuza game, and because we had kind of talked about finishing this one up before we went to Infinite Wealth.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't, I had a moment where oh my god, I'm like 40 hours behind.
I remember that. I remember you asking me that. You're like, wait, you talking about Infinite Wealth? I was like, no. I'm not that good.
I thought I was way behind because I'm like, I slow played a little bit on the man.
Have you played any Infinite Wealth?
No, I have it loaded up because I wasn't sure what was going on, but I have not touched it yet.
Yeah, I haven't even booted it up. I have it on my hard drive, but I have never booted it up. Which I will definitely want to play that game eventually, but we will announce what our next game is going to be at the end of the show here. But Like a Dragon Gaiden. I'm just going to call it The Man Who Erased His Name because this is the longest title ever. Came out actually almost a year ago. In fact, in 3 days, it will leave Game Pass. So if you remember correctly, when this game first released, it released day and date with Game Pass. So I was like, yay, I don't have to pay for it. I can just sit down and play it and be done. And I had always heard that, people who sat down and actually played it said, this isn't that long of a game. And to be honest with you, according to Yakuza standards, yes, this is a much shorter game. It's still not short. I would say just powering through the storyline would probably take you still probably 12 to 13 hours. I think I clocked in at about 15, but I did some extra stuff in between there.
Yeah, I think I'm in about the same boat. Probably a bit more than minimum. I think probably about 15 hours as well. Mm-hmm.
Typically, a Yakuza game has, 12 to 13 chapters? This one only has 4.
Yeah.
The Man Who Erased His Name is basically a game that bridges the gap between the end of Yakuza 6. It happens during, I guess, partially right after Yakuza 6, partially during Like a Dragon, so I should say Yakuza 7, and then ends, I guess, during Infinite Wealth. Yeah. So there is no, I mean, Infinite Wealth's been out for almost a year at this point. Yes, Kazuma Kiryu is in Infinite Wealth. You know, it was announced in the trailers and stuff like that, but basically this is like what Kiryu was doing while Ichiban was doing everything in Like a Dragon. So if we remember correctly, at the end of Yakuza 6, he decided he was going to basically fake his own death, in order to keep the Yakuza off of the children at the orphanage, because he knew that they were constantly going to use those children as leverage to get to Kiryu. And in doing so, he needed some help. So he got help from, is it the government? Are these people with the government? The Daoji?
Yeah, I didn't take it as the government, but also it's clearly not Yakuza.
Yeah, it's definitely not Yakuza. And they have a lot of money. These people have a lot of money. So the only thing I can think of it is maybe like a Black Ops version of the government. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But he now works for the Daioji, who had enough pull and enough money, the resources, to basically fake one of the chairmans of one of the biggest Yakuza clans being able to fake his death and keep him hidden for many years. So, I can't remember when Yakuza 6 takes place. 2019, I think, somewhere around in there.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then Like a Dragon, I think takes place in 2020. I think they finally caught up with the times, because I think Like a Dragon came out in 2020. So for about a year, he's been hiding away. No contact with the outside world, with the exception of whatever the shady organization he's working for wants him to do. So he's been doing these missions. He's become a agent for them.
I love, one of the best things about Yakuza is always the, kind of tongue-in-cheek humor. And I love just that basic premise, how it's really, emotional and intense that he's going to give up. He's going to turn his back on his life, and he's going to do that for the kids. But then it turns out to be, the worst-kept secret ever, and everybody knows who he is throughout the whole game.
Well, it's not like 20 years have passed, and a lot of people he knows is passed or, or retired and stuff like that. I mean, everybody that he's worked with is still operating right now.
I just like how he's deadpan, looking someone in the eyes, and you're mistaken. I'm not Kiryu. And unless it's supposed to be a Clark Kent situation where because he's got glasses on, they can't recognize him, I'm this doesn't make any sense, and I love it.
No, that's very true. Though I have to say, and this is a fun little fact about Clark Kent and Superman. They put that in the comic. So I can't remember which comic it is, but I can't remember. I think it might have been Jimmy Olsen or somebody said, "Hey Clark, why don't you ever go with contacts?" He's like, "Nah, I don't like doing that." They're like, "Why not?" Because he said it's annoying because every time I take my glasses off, everybody says I look like Superman.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Olsen's like, "Yeah, that's pretty funny." And so it kind of, because it's somebody looks different with their glasses on and off and stuff like that. So, but yes, Kiryu wears glasses. Is it glasses or is it sunglasses? It's almost like tinted glasses.
Yeah. So, I thought they were regular, but I'm not sure now. Maybe they definitely were tinted.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. But, yeah, so he's doing missions secretly for this organization. And they have him at this monk temple where he has to stay, as kind of like his little hideout. And his direct, I guess, supervisor or handler or whatever, is a guy named, Hanawa. Hanawa, to begin with, is very cold. Basically, kind of reminds me of like a handler for a caged animal. Mm-hmm. He knows this guy is dangerous. I'm going to keep him on a short leash. You're going to do what I say, and if you don't, I'm going to strike you. That kind of stuff. So we see basically the setup of, and I do like how it's kind of like intertwined with Like a Dragon. So we see things happen with Kiryu that I was like, oh, so because this happened, it then happens like this in Like a Dragon. So everything's kind of been set up from the beginning. And it wasn't necessarily the Dioji who wanted to disband the Yakuza. The Yakuza themselves wanted to. And it was because of the climate that was happening at the time. So if you remember Ryo Aoki, who, was then become the mayor or the governor. What was he, the governor? He was the governor. Yeah. They were saying, look, the Yakuza is dead at this point. We have basically a Yakuza boss now in the government, and he's wanting to, get rid of the Yakuza, so we might as well just go out on our own without having to get shut down by them. But we can't do that without some help. And that's kind of like where the Dioji came into play, because they were doing stuff in the background for the Yakuza with the same goal. So the Dioji's like, yeah, we need to get rid of the Yakuza too. They're wanting to get rid of themselves. Well, we'll just help them out with that. What better way? Because we now have we have the fourth chairman of the Tojo clan working for us now. So they'll listen to him. But we're not going to let all the Yakuza know. We're just going to let a select few people know. So, and that's kind of like how this whole thing's intertwined. Some of our, I guess, I didn't know any of these clans that were popping up. So you had the one guy, who was like, he was like the head of a clan, or not a clan, but of a family that I never heard of, but he was originally like a Jingwang Mafia guy, the guy who ran the casino that was on the battle cruiser.
Yeah, the castle.
The castle. And there was all these players in this. Yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain on like the events and how they work, because you got to keep in mind, when I started this game, that was about 3 months ago. When I finished this game, it was last week. So I mean, there's a lot in between there, and that's okay. We're getting, like I said before we started recording, we're getting back in the saddle. So you will have to forgive us if we don't remember all the events that happened here. I was wanting to mainly go over like how we felt about the game as a whole, because it wasn't that long of a game. The story wasn't that long either. It was a lot of this happened because of this and this happened because of this.
Yeah, so it was fairly linear. It wasn't that complicated of a game.
No, and there wasn't that many twists and turns, because honestly, there wasn't that many main characters in this game. Yakuza game, how many times are you playing a Yakuza game and you see a character and it does a freeze frame and turns to black and white and it goes dur, dur, and it shows their name and their title? Yeah. This only happened like 3 times in the entire game. And so I was like, okay, so there's not that many players involved here.
It's funny because I was going back and watching some of the cutscenes over again the other day, this weekend, mm-hmm. and where the game starts, in my mind, was like half the game, and it was really just the opening scene, right, where you're basically on the docks, and he's walking around, and again, everyone's pretending they don't know who he is,
right,
and then you get basically an ambush.
Mm-hmm. How long gets kidnapped?
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt like it was halfway through the game, but it was actually the very beginning.
Yeah, I was just that was the first thing that struck me when I was rewatching it. I'm like, oh wow, did I just waste a lot of time here that it took me half the game? I don't know.
I honestly can't remember. I remember the scene, and yeah. So, talking a little bit about the mechanics of the game. So there's a couple of things, especially with the open world. So Kiryu has to lay low while he's trying to. Hanawa, his handler, gets kidnapped by Yakuza members, and he kind of goes off script to get him back. Because the Yakuza are like, we know who you are. We need you. If you want to see this guy alive again, you need to do what we say. Well, the Daoji are basically like, let him die. Do not go anywhere with these people. Don't do anything. Don't give in to their demands, kind of thing. And Kiryu's not that kind of person. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So, but the mechanics of the game were to go along with the story. He's trying to infiltrate the Yakuza without letting people know who he is. So he assumes this identity that the Daoji give him, which is Joryu, which is kind of on the nose. But his little new hideout is a kind of like the florist. She knows she's got networks everywhere. She doesn't have like a series of cameras that the florist had, but she has inside information because she is a friend to the homeless in Osaka. This is Osaka, right? This is where this happens at?
Yes.
Yeah. And so she started out with helping out the homeless, and then in return, the homeless would be like, hey, this is the word on the street. This is where this guy is. We saw this guy walking into this club. So she has her eyes out there through the homeless people. And so Kiryu starts like, okay, well, I guess I could start there. I got to find this guy. So I need to help out this group, and maybe the homeless around the city will help me get this information that I need.
I spent a lot of time doing missions for her.
As did I. And so there's like this whole big mechanic where, and it even plays into like your leveling up progression. So doing missions for her, will get you points. Now these points you can buy items with, you can acquire new skills with. In fact, all your skill requirements will eventually require experience points as well as her points. Akane is her name. Akane points. And there's like small on the street missions where, you can, a boy lost his ball and you had to go get it. Or, a guy's getting accosted by a bunch of thugs, beat them up. Or you can get these kind of like longer, I would say, story missions. They're not really part of the actual main story, but they have cutscenes and stuff like that. They could be multiple steps to it. And they get more points for doing those longer missions. And I did a lot of this stuff. Like I wanted to kind of level it up a little bit more because I did want to get Kiryu, leveled up some. Another mechanic of this game is that he has two different styles that you can switch between. He has his, like a dragon, the Dragon of Dojima style, which is kind of like how he played in the original games. So it's more like a brawler type character. Or Beast, the Beast, if you remember the Beast type character.
Yeah.
And then he has his other style, which is the Agent style, which is more of like, almost like Kung Fu Master mixed with gadgets. So, he's really big on the whole gadget thing. So kind of like James Bond, where he has like a watch that can shoot out a grappling hook that he can wrap around guys and pull them toward him, or he can throw them with it. He can pull down these drones. He can call down drones and they can fly around a guy and distract them. He has jet boots. So he can like rocket around the arena.
I kind of like that this stuff was in here. It gave the game a little bit more of a unique flavor from some of the other ones.
It did.
I didn't use them all that much, though.
So that was the weird thing. To begin with, I didn't like how it was. You have two styles. You have what felt kind of like a faster style with the agent, and you had the slower but powerful style with the like a dragon version. I think, what is it? The Dragon of Dojima? I can't remember what it is. The style is called. So. But I was using that style, the brawler style, because I was like, I feel like I'm more impactful that way. One thing I should mention is that unlike Like a Dragon, so unlike Yakuza 7, which was a turn-based role-playing game, this game is like the old style, which is kind of like a beat-em-up brawler. And in fact, in Infinite Wealth, Like a Dragon 8, where you play as Ichiban, it is a turn-based role-playing game again, but Kiryu doesn't play by those rules. So you have Kiryu in your party, and you got Ichiban and his party members are choosing their attacks and waiting their turn. When it's Kiryu's turn, you can just run around the battlefield and beat up dudes.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's hilarious.
I love the way they play with this stuff and don't take it too seriously.
Well, it makes sense because if you remember, all of the battles were taking place in Ichiban's head. Yeah. They weren't actually real. I mean, they were real, but he was thinking, this playing out like a role-playing game. But Kiryu's like, screw this. I'm not taking a turn. I'm going to beat these guys up.
Yeah, why wait?
So, but yeah, this game plays a lot like the old school Yakuza games. So, I was starting out with the brawler heavier hitting style, but by the end of the game, I was actually using the agent style more because I had started kind of upgrading my abilities there. So my attacks were getting more powerful, but on top of that, the gadgets were getting pretty useful. So, toward the end of this game, holy crap, did they like to just throw 1,000,000 dudes at you? Well, one of the abilities, so his rocket boots are really good because while you're rocketing around, you can just knock over guys. But he also had another gadget, which was a fake cigarette. So he could throw this fake cigarette, which was actually a bomb, and it would blow up. That does significant damage to a big blast radius. So toward the end, with all these guys who are all bunched up, and throw that, kaboom, and sometimes I knocked out guys just by hitting them in the blast area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I leveled up his
too much,
gadgets.
I didn't use the rocket boots too much. I did use the drones a bit.
I leveled up the gadgets a good amount just so I could see how game-changing this stuff was. And some of it was pretty game-changing. Now, when it came to the boss fights, you're better off switching to the Dragon of Dojima style because it's a one-on-one fight.
Yeah.
And you just want to do as much damage as you can. But I never found this game difficult like the other brawler style Yakuza games. There were some, like Yakuza 5 and I think even 6, I had to turn down the difficulty a couple of times. This game I never had to do that.
Yeah, this one kind of played, a little bit simpler, a little bit straighter story-wise. Yeah, it was, I don't want to say it was vanilla, but it was definitely, you didn't have to necessarily think much or try that hard or come up with new strategies. I mean, most of the time that I was trying new things, it was just to see those new things, not because I felt like I had to.
Sure.
So I agree. this was not one of the harder Yakuza games.
And there's still a lot to do in this game. So you can do all the Akane quests. There's still the Club Sega you can go to. There's the pocket racing where you can like upgrade your little RC car. What other activities were there? There was a bunch of them. There was the cabaret club you could do. So this game was pretty fully featured to be a small downloadable title. I think is that the only way to get this game? I don't think they made a physical release of this game, did they?
I thought I don't know. I know they didn't initially. I don't know if they came out with a limited release or anything, but it's definitely meant to be a downloaded game.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty fully featured. And I do like the kind of like intercutting between, occasionally you'll get like something that happens in Like a Dragon, and then you'll cut back to what Kiryu's doing. And we get the big scene where, where Ichiban meets Kiryu for the first time at the meeting, Yeah. Where they're disbanding the Yakuza, and you have that big brawl and stuff. And
it's a pretty nice coming together of all the friends.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice seeing him and his ragtag group of misfits out there fighting. But the one thing I thought we would get, and I was curious of how they handled it, but we didn't get it, was the actual boss fight with Kiryu. That was in Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
I don't know
see that
why.
From, like, the other side.
I would love to see that from the other side.
Yeah.
But we never got it. And I was thinking, really? We're going to leave that out? How did we leave that out?
Yeah, it's a pretty big moment. Why not get more out of it?
But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't really know what to talk about with it, because some of the stuff I don't remember, like all the nuances and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just talking about game mechanics.
Yeah, and you certainly had, the big initial part of the story is really getting to that meeting that you just talked about where they disband. And then, who was the guy that wore the mask who was in that original raid? Was his name Shishido? Basically, yes. Who just said, this is bullshit, you can't disband it, I'm going to basically take all of the rest of the Omi Alliance or whoever was behind him and basically have a coup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost the whole story, right? You try to disband, he comes up to try and
he goes
stop
along
him.
with it until the very end,
yeah.
And then tries to sabotage it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what happens.
Nishitani, he's kind of your big bad in this game, really.
Yeah, those two. And it's interesting because at the very end there, Nishitani and Shishido don't die, and the Daoji take both of them and say, you guys will make great agents.
Yep.
I get the feeling we'll see them again.
Yeah, I hope so, because I think I don't think this game ever hit the highs of Zero, but I mean, what games do? But I did love that scene where it looked a lot when you were going to pull Nishitani out of the burning building, and I forget why, but you step away for a second. And you come back, and Shishido's like stabbing him to death in the chest.
Yeah.
And saying, I don't care that you want to save this guy. Screw him. We're going to kill him. And the way they show the blood, like, roping off of it, I was just like, my jaw kind of dropped. I'm like, oh, damn, I can't believe he did that. That is cold as
That's
anything.
Hardcore.
And then to have that kind of be overturned later when Nishitani's just back. It's kind of funny, the ups and downs.
It was all pretend.
Someone's going to be dead.
Yeah, it's all pretend. They were in it all along.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I was sold that when I originally thought he went back in to kill him.
Yeah, oh yeah,
because
I did too.
he had just argued so much with Kiryu about it. And then, so as soon as he got that moment's opportunity, he went in and just stabbed him to death. I was like, oh man, that's intense. So,
yeah.
that was a good thing to kind of flip around. They just do such a good job playing with emotions in the series.
That legit got me. As I thought, I was like, this guy is a stone cold killer. This guy does not give a crap. He is a hardcore Yakuza. And that dude, and it was pretty visceral. He was like, I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's murdering this dude.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a quick thing. It was like they showed it for a long time, and then they, had to drag him out of the building while it was coming down. And I was like, oh man, this is. So he actually did that, and then at the end, I'm still alive. It was all a ruse. I was like, dang, I didn't actually see that one coming. So yeah, it was that was actually a pretty good surprise there. And the crazy thing is like I thought he was dead like 3 months ago, and then whenever I booted it back up this week, I was like, oh holy crap, that guy is still alive. I probably shouldn't have stopped halfway through.
Yeah, the twists lose a little bit of their impact.
I know, right? But
now that I'm thinking about it, this game did have some really good scenes. I love the scene where everybody's basically playing a little bit of like Russian roulette almost, and they're telling Kiryu to kill Hanuma, and then he says he won't do it. So Kiryu basically like gets down on his knees, and they tell Hanuma he has to shoot Kiryu in the back of the head, and then he's just it's that intense moment of like long seconds of like, oh my god, he's gonna pull the trigger. And then he just says he can't do it, and then everyone else is going to shoot him in the head, and it's just all this like ramping up of like, will he, won't he? And then they come out and basically say, you both passed the test.
Yeah. we would never hire stone cold killers.
Yeah.
I was like, jeez.
And I actually love Hano in that scene because he's like, look, Kiryu saved my life twice. You can kill me. I'm not going to do this.
Yep. Those are pretty good. And then that ending, man, holy crap.
Yeah.
That ending was hardcore. Where, like, after it was all said and done, and Kiryu's back at the monastery, and
with the camera and the
yeah,
he's got the tablet in his hand, yeah.
And he's like, I've got a present for you for doing such a good job. And they're like, yeah, we put a hidden camera in the cemetery where you're buried, and it shows like it was like the year anniversary of his death. All the kids from the orphanage come to pay their respects, and he sees Haruka there and Haruto's there, and one of the kids or two of the kids see the camera.
Yeah,
and they're thinking, right? And they're like, oh no, like somebody's watching Uncle Kaz's grave. I wonder if it's Uncle Kaz. And so they come back the next day. Or no, they don't come back the next day. They talk to it and they said, we'll come back the next day with everybody else. He's like, oh, I'm a firefighter now because I wanted to save people like you did. And they were talking about like what all the kids at the orphanage are doing now that they're grown up. And it cuts to Kiryu, and he is blubbering. He is just bawling his eyes out. And I was like, holy crap, this is like a hard moment right here.
Yeah, it's not something you expect to see Kiryu doing ever.
No, you don't see this hard Yakuza man crying. But he is absolutely a disaster here.
And there's so many little character moments that are so good. I love even the comment there where he's like, I'm not even sure if this constitutes a reward for what you've done. Because, I can see what it's doing to you.
Yeah. But I think Kiryu looks up at him. He's like, no, this was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is I needed to see this, and he was. But then he also has the realization of, I guess these kids really don't need me anymore.
Yeah,
you know, and so it was kind of like a coming of age, whether it be not teenager to adult, but knowing that I'm getting older. These kids that I cared about for so long have now become adults, and they've flown the nest.
Yeah, they have their own lives now.
And I think Kiryu also saw it as a form of pride, saying, "Hey, I helped raise these kids, and they turned out good." And I guess the final thing for being such a good agent for them is that you are now on an extended vacation. And by extended, we mean indefinite. And they said, we have given you a new name, which was Suzuki. And Kiryu makes the comment of like, that's funny because I went by that name for a period of time before all of this. And Hanawa says, yeah, I know. I knew you when you went by that name.
There was a weird comment in that scene where Hanawa said like something like, I've also gone by other names.
Yeah.
And he said, we've met before.
Yeah.
And Kiryu's like, well, I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't know.
They don't explain that though, right?
No, they never say it. They never explain it.
Oh man, I was like, did I miss something? Like that's an interesting little thread to see it in here for the future game. If not,
I'm trying to think of where we've seen Hanawa before, and I don't know. Because he made that comment of like, I've met you before as a different name. Yeah.
And then I love the other comments in the background, like where Kiryu can't hear it, and they're like, "Really? We're just gonna let him go?" And they're like, "Look, we need him to have gratitude towards us, so he's indebted to us, and B, it helps us control the other people better if they see that we reward hard work." So it's,
there was also the other line of, "We also really don't want to make an enemy out of this guy."
Yeah. Which you would think more people in this universe should have figured out earlier.
Right.
There's so many times people are like, oh, well, here's Kiryu, might as well beat him up. Like, has that ever worked?
Nope. So it's, that ending was really good. And they asked him, they're like, where are you going? And he's like, I'm going to Hawaii. He's like, I'm going to go everywhere, but I think I'm going to end it at Hawaii, is what he said. And the very end of the game, it cuts to him in Hawaii at a chapel. And he goes to the altar there, and he puts down a ring. And it was the ring that he was going to give, was it Yumi? Is that her name?
Yumi.
Which was the only woman he's ever loved. And if you remember correctly, Yumi was Haruka's mother, who died at the hands of Nishiki in Yakuza 1. So
I liked his emo hair in that scene.
Yeah, that's kind of what he looks like in Infinite Wealth. He's turned fully gray.
Salt and pepper emo, yeah, gray emo.
And then his hair's also down, so it looks a little different. As most everyone knows, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth takes place in Hawaii. So I guess that's where he meets up with Ichiban for the second time.
Yeah, and we must see the others, like that one scene with the disbanding where you also get to see Sajima and Goro Majima.
Yeah. And all of them are playing by the rules of the Daijoji except for Majima. And he's like, Kiryu, I hadn't seen you in forever. Everybody said you were dead. And he's like, I don't know who you're talking about. My name's Joryu. And he's like, okay, if you say so.
Yeah, I can play that game, I guess.
Yep. And then after they finish the fight, he's like, okay, enough of this crap. What's going on? And it's like, again, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. The one thing I will have to say, did you play this in Japanese or English?
Japanese with English subtitles, I think.
Okay. I played it in English because I thought Like a Dragon's English dub was absolutely fantastic. They have hired a new person to do Kiryu's voice. I hate it. I hate it. I do not like it. I think it is horrible. But the thing is that in Like a Dragon, you know what they did? When you're playing as Ichiban, when you run into Kiryu in the English version of the game, they brought back the original English voice actor who did it for the PlayStation 2 Yakuza 1 game. And it worked. Why did they not use him again for this game and for Infinite Wealth?
Is it the same new person in Infinite Wealth as this game?
Yes. He is now the voice of Kazuma Kiryu. I don't like it. It's not good. And I'm not saying that because I don't like the voice actor. I don't really know the voice actor. I just don't think his voice works with Kiryu. It just doesn't feel right. It feels a little bit too jokey. And really? I don't mean that. I don't mean that as in like it sounds like a joke. I mean it as in like Kiryu sounds a little bit too playful for Kiryu.
Yeah. I mean, he's been through a lot of shit. He's got to be at least a little bit weathered.
Yeah, I mean, and that's because in Yakuza 7, I keep saying Like a Dragon. It confuses everybody. In Yakuza 7, the turn-based role-playing game, they brought back the old school original voice actor, and he sounded perfect. And I think I even made the comment of he sounds a little bit like an African American man, and I'm fine with that because it's a deeper, gruff voice that works. This other guy, I don't know, man. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, and he plays a big role in 8. And I don't like it.
So how are you gonna listen to 8?
I'm gonna play in English because Ichiban's voice actor is phenomenal.
Yeah, maybe I will too.
Like seriously, did you play 7 in English?
I think so.
I thought it was fantastic, and everything synced up perfectly. It was like they redid the cutscenes to make it sync up with the English voice acting.
Oh, yeah. I remember
it was really good. So, I don't know. I'm excited to play Infinite Wealth after finishing this.
It's funny. I am too, and usually when we get done with one of these games, I'm kind of like, man, I like the game, but I'm a little tired of it at the moment. I need a break.
Right.
But talking about it now, I'm like, oh, man, I actually haven't played this in a month or two.
Exactly.
It's funny because it was shorter and because I've had already a little bit of a break. I'm like, oh man, I should pick that back up again and explore a little bit more.
So the problem with that is Infinite Wealth is, I guarantee you, a 100-hour game because I know what's going to happen. It's going to the same thing happened when I played Like a Dragon. I'm going to want to max out at least one of the ultimate weapons, and it's going to be a grind forever. And I mean, we won't have another show for 4 months.
Yeah, if we're trying to beat it.
Exactly. So I think it's best that we table that one for maybe after we finish our next game. Yeah. Which I guess we can go ahead and announce our next game, which is probably no surprise since it just came out and we did all the other games in the series. We're doing Dragon Age Veilguard for our next game. I've put maybe 2 hours into it. I bought it day one because it's freaking Dragon Age. I don't care what kind of controversy is around it. I don't care what the art style looks like, even though I don't agree with it. I don't like the Pixar cartoony stuff. It's Dragon Age, which is one of my all-time favorite series.
Yeah.
I gotta play it.
Yeah,
So.
After how good Origins was and how interestingly different 2 was, I mean, I'm in. I want to see how this game plays out. You know, I like Dragon Age. It's one of our Phoenix Down kind of staples.
Absolutely. Like, that's the thing is, like, we can talk about that all until we're blue in the face. Dragon Age Origins is one of the best games ever made. I mean, I will say that. I will fully admit that. And it's not me being a Dragon Age fanboy. I mean, legitimately, it tells a great story. It has a great combat system. People give Dragon Age 2 a lot of crap. And I get where they're coming from, but I think they tell a great story too. We said it best whenever we were recording these long time ago. Dragon Age Origins is your blockbuster Hollywood movie, while Dragon Age 2 is your sequel that is a 5-season television show. And it's still good. Like, that's the thing, is like, I really enjoyed Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age Inquisition was a little bit different. It felt more open. It was definitely an open world. It was a lot to do in that game. I thought it was good. I thought the story was good. It didn't have the same kind of oomph that the first 2 games did.
Yeah.
And then we got Veilguard. Now, I have heard, I've only got maybe 2 hours into the game, but I have heard that a lot of your choices and carryovers do not play a big part in Veilguard. Which disappoints me. It most certainly does, because that's one of the things that they've always really pushed, especially with Dragon Age. They pushed it with Mass Effect, but it was more prevalent in Dragon Age, was that your choices matter, they affect the world, and they go from game to game.
Yeah, it's kind of too bad, because it's one of those things that's kind of unique about it.
Yeah. I mean, they made an entire website based on the choices you made in Dragon Age 1 and 2 to then go into Dragon Age Inquisition. But I think when I made my Inquisitor, which was also I wouldn't say hidden, it was also not in the forefront. Like at the very beginning of the game where you make your character, your Rook, which is your character, there's a little sidebar saying, hey, would you like to make your Inquisitor from Dragon Age Inquisition? And I was like, the first time I played this game, I didn't see that. And so I just started the game. And then I read online how you can make your Inquisitor. I was like, what? I didn't know you could do that. So I started a new character. It's just so I can make my Inquisitor. When you do that, they do ask you probably, 5 questions on what you decide to do in Dragon Age Inquisition. And I was like, really? They've narrowed everything down to 5 questions.
Yeah.
And that's really disappointing. I hope that they tell a decent story. I hope it can live up to the Dragon Age name. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm 2 hours in. I've got a pretty good taste of the combat, and I actually really like the combat. The combat's fun. It's more action-y based. There's still some nuance to it. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to dive into it. Matt, any final thoughts on the man who erased his name?
Not really. I enjoyed it. It was, again, it was like a light version of Yakuza, right? It's good to get in, get out. I mean, it's a little weird now talking about it so long after playing it. I don't quite feel the immediacy of it, but yeah. Even just reminiscing, there were some great moments, some great scenes. It was just, a fun, quick little version of a Yakuza game.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me that since playing 7, I'm kind of done with the brawler games.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to go back to those.
Yeah, it's functional, but I don't get as much out of it.
No, there's just so much more customization you can do with a turn-based role-playing game, and I love the direction that they're going with these games. And I feel like, it's okay if you do it in like a little 12-hour game, side story kind of thing. If you want to do it like that, or if you, and they've said, I don't know if they're going to continue the Judgment series, but Judgment was supposed to be kind of like, that's going to be your brawler games, while the new Yakuza games are going to be turn-based. I'm fine with that too. I've never played a Judgment game. I don't know if I ever will, especially after finishing Gaiden here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have, I wouldn't even say I don't have the patience for it. It's just, it's kind of one note.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I think we said that in a couple of the other games too. You kind of lose the excitement because you kind of just settle into what works, and for the most part for these games you can just keep doing that over and over again.
And do the same combos over and over again until their health bar drains.
Yeah, the sense of progression isn't always fantastic there.
Yeah.
Not that it's non-existent, because you do kind of expand and get new abilities, but it becomes the more repetitive part of the game.
Yeah.
And, the part that I'm just trying to get through to get back to the other quirks and the stories and whatever else we're working on at the moment.
Yeah. What was so brilliant, there was so many things that were brilliant about 7. Was, and the thing that I loved the most about it was that, truth be told, and I think even the directors came out and said that Yakuza 7 was kind of like a social commentary on how Japan treats their homeless people. And they really pushed that. For like the first 4 chapters of that game, you are homeless and you're broke. And holy crap, did you not feel that? Like, if finding 200 yen on the ground was like, holy crap, I can buy something now.
Yeah.
It was, and I mean, we joke about it, but I mean, that was a legitimately awesome part of that game, was like, yeah, you are living this life. Yeah. You're living out of a tent and on the streets. You have no money. And the way you progress in this game is to get money. Like, that's like the first 4 chapters of this game is just you trying to land a job. And I thought it was brilliant. And the way it went into the gameplay. Not only were they showing you in the story, but they were also showing you in the gameplay. Hey, you're broke. It sucks.
Yeah.
Coupling
that with the new character and the new combat style, it really made that one feel fresher.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. I absolutely adore Like a Dragon, and I hope Infinite Wealth feels the exact same way. I hope there is some kind of story element that then goes into the gameplay. So we'll see. We'll get to that eventually, and we're going back to the land of, I say Ferelden, but I don't even think it's Ferelden. I don't know where the hell we are. Right now I'm stuck in the Vale somewhere. So, but yeah, that's going to be it. Emails. If you would like to send an email, I know this episode is going to be shadow dropped on you. You don't even know it's coming. But if you would like to send an email, it is drew@ztgd.com. You can send us an email. We'll read it out on the show. Tell us about what you thought about Like a Dragon Gaiden. If you're playing the Veilguard right now, let us know what your thoughts are on it. We're going to be working through that. I don't know, like, as far as recording schedule goes, I have time now. Like, I have time, especially now that my daughter is on like an actual sleep schedule. So I do have time to play some games. It's not a lot, but it's enough I can get in some game time every night if need be, which means I can also carve out a night where I could record. Now, will we go to once a week recordings? Probably not, just because, life gets in the way. But we may do 1 or 2 episodes in between the finale of Dragon Age, if you're down for it, Matt. So
yeah, that sounds perfect.
Yeah. So it may not be a weekly thing, but it may be like a bi-weekly thing, just talk about our progress. Because I don't know how long this game is, but I would assume it's at least probably 60 hours. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're back. We're getting there. We're slowly getting there, but we are coming back. I said that the Phoenix Down is not ending. It's just on a hiatus, and well, that hiatus is now over with. So
yeah, hibernation over.
Yep, we're back. But yeah, send us an email. I can say you can tweet at us, but I'll be honest with you, I don't even get on Twitter anymore. I don't really do social media anymore. I might as well just delete my X account and my Facebook account. I don't really use them. The best way to get a hold of us would be to send us an email. That would be the ideal way to get a hold of us. But please do. I know. I've talked to a few people. I know Jamie reached out to me probably about a month ago, just asking how everything was going, like asking about the baby and stuff like that. And I said, hey, we're doing really good. Hey, don't forget about us. I know we haven't recorded in a long time, but we are coming back. So yeah, if you're hearing this, send us an email, Jamie. I know you like Dragon Age. Let's get this on. Let's talk about it. We'll get it like we did like back in the day. And that goes for everybody else out there who is actually listening to this. We would love to hear from you. So, but that's going to be it for us. Until next time, I am Drew.
And I'm Matt.
And we're out of here. We'll be back next time. I'm not going to say next week, but next time with Dragon Age Velguard.